is going on, everybody? Welcome to our fourth and final session for Dufferin. My name is Mike Massey, also known as Mindful Mike. We are now just going to do a recap based off the last session that I just did this past Wednesday. And we looked at how we can informally bring mindfulness and self-compassion to our practice and to our work life, and also how some other practices formally that we can go through. So let me pull up the slides here, just show you what you missed if you weren't there. And if you were there, it's just a recap. So as you can see here, we have our first informal practice, just another recap. This idea of saying to yourself again, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Like I mentioned before, I find this one the most helpful to do at the start of the day, as I'm getting ready, if I'm getting my coffee going, I'm getting my tea going, if I'm doing it in my hot tub or my cold plunge. This is the one I use the most, especially when I'm doing sauna, hot tub, or cold plunge. Something that I'm already doing, I actually use it as a formal practice. I close my eyes and I just say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. But you can use it any place, any shape, any way you want. Like I suggested to some people who messaged me privately, this is a great one to also use with your eyes open when you're driving to and from work. The next one, just again, the PEM check-in. And what I suggested that people do is before they start their day, they ask themselves, how am I doing physically? How am I doing emotionally? And how am I doing mentally? And then what does that give you? Your PEM check-in. And then if you were to do that throughout the day, during the day, one time, maybe at your lunch, or maybe, when the little humans are going outside, ask yourself, how am I doing now physically? How am I doing right now emotionally? How am I doing right now mentally? Just take that check-in. Right? Do it at the start of the day, midday, end of the day. One more time. How am I doing on my way home physically? Well, I feel a little tired, a little tense physically. Emotionally, I feel pretty good. It was a pretty good day. I feel neutral. Mentally, I'm thinking about what's happening this weekend coming up. Just label it, right? And if you want to go back, just go to the PEM video right here. Click on the PEM and work that practice through. And then we talked again about the self-compassion break. Just a recap on the self-compassion break. What is a self-compassion break? Well, again, you think of something that brought you stress or situation that was heavy, and you go through this protocol. You say one of the 4 statements. So, for example, this is a moment of suffering. Next statement, suffering's a part of my life, or suffering's a part of life in this moment. May I be kind to myself. May I hold myself with love, or may I hold myself in the way that I would hold another. Just go through those statements. And again, all the formal practices are there. The next new informal practice that I want to implement or just throw out there is this idea of holding yourself or talking to yourself in the way that you would hold or treat another person. Again, very simple in theory, much harder to actually implement. Why? Well, we usually talk a lot of trash to ourselves. So I gave you the example of one time when I was driving from Bruce County to Windsor. It was this long drive and I was on the road, I think something like 7 or 8 days, and I only saw my family for like a half a day, and I just felt really sad about the situation, and I felt like a little down about the situation, and I told myself to shut up, and you would have killed me this busy this long ago, and yada yada yada, and beat myself up. And again I thought, whoa, stop here. If this was happening to my wife, I wouldn't tell her to shut up. I wouldn't tell her oh, who cares, you're making money. I would acknowledge her suffering. I would acknowledge that she misses us. And I would acknowledge that, that's completely normal. It makes a lot of sense. So again, this idea, the next time you're stuck in something, holding yourself as if you're talking or holding someone that you love, I find it's helped me more than it hasn't, that's for sure. Another idea was the spotlighting. So taking something that you're doing every day, like brushing your teeth, like showering, hopefully, like going for a walk or walking from point A to point B, or driving to work or driving the kids to school, or wherever you're driving in a day, or eating. Yes, you have time to eat and be present, or when you're actually sitting down and talking to someone. What you can do is you can purposely pay attention. You can bring your awareness to when you're brushing your teeth, to just brush your teeth for those couple minutes. When you're in the shower, spend some time when your mind goes off and thinking about the meeting or thinking about is the day when the twins are coming, to press pause on that, bring your awareness back to the present moment, and actually be in the shower for those moments. Be in the car for 30 seconds at a time with your eyes open, feeling what it feels like to be sitting in the car with your hands on the steering wheel. When you're going for a walk in the morning or you're walking even in your, in the building you work in, when you walk from point A to point B, pay attention with purpose on where you're walking. What does it feel like for your body to be walking? When you're eating an orange, when you're eating an apple, pay attention to how did that apple actually get in your hand? At some point, it was attached to a tree and someone picked it and someone hopefully watched it and then they shipped it and I went to the store and got it. Like, just be aware in the moment when you're eating all of the work that happened into this to get this into your hand. And I know, like I gave the example when we go to the movies and we're just kind of shoveling popcorn in our mouth. That happens. But press pause on it and take 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds to just acknowledge in that moment that you're eating. To acknowledge in that moment, what does it feel like to actually taste that food in that moment? That's the way we can spotlight. It can be anything on this board. It can be anything that you do already throughout the day. And then this compassion walk, once again, find a stretch of 10 steps that you do every day and bring yourself to being fully present for those 10 steps every time you walk down that hallway, every time you walk from point A to point B. Or you can incorporate things like, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself when you're doing it. Try it out, it does work. So some formal practices now. One of the formal practices was the practice of gratitude. So for example, I write a gratitude journal every day. Here's an example of what I wrote. It gives a quote. You don't have to do gratitude journal. You can just press play on the gratitude check-in that's on my website right now. I'll put it in the link here so you have it. But again, there's some science coming out, recent science coming out, how gratitude can help change your mind and your brain in a healthy way. So again, if that resonates with you, then follow that practice, right? I gave up here, some of the benefits of gratitude. Recently, I think it produced people that did a gratitude practice reported 25% more of the time being happier. Gratitude helped people sleep better. As you can see, gratitude help people give a greater sense of well-being. Gratitude, people who did a gratitude practice on regular had overall better relationships, probably because they're a little more present or thankful for them. They're bringing awareness to it. This is how it kind of works. And also grateful people are more resilient. So again, I'll put the gratitude check-in so you can do it formally if you want to check it out formally, or you can just write the 3 things that you're down grateful. Like I mentioned in the talk, it's actually even better if you allow your eyes to close and you think of a time when someone said something to you and they shared their gratitude for something that you did, and you sit with the emotions of how that made you feel, and you sit with the energy of that, has been proven to really help. And then last but not least, of course, we went into the self-compassion practice, which again, I will definitely put on the site. And all you have to do again is just press play. And that is it for our time now. I will make sure that this site is up and running and you can use this whole link and the whole site the entire summer. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up at mindfulmike.ca. You know the deal. Just hit contact Mike, just like that. Or DM me at mindfulmassey, which most of you are, M-A-S-S-E. Have a beautiful summer. From my heart to yours, thank you for being so open, for being so kind, and for being just an awesome group of humans. Thank you for the work that you do. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate. I'll see you soon. Peace and love and all that jazz. And bye for now.